I want to take this time to introduce our last guest tonight. She really is just a legend in television, a legend in black television for sure, and really was the first female black teenager on TV. Really taught a lot of women about really what it was like to grow up as a black woman in the projects in this country. It was just an amazing show and an amazing moment for all of us to look at. We're honored, really, to have her here. You guys give it up for Miss
Bernadette Stanis. Also known as Thelma from Good Times.
Yes, indeed. Welcome, welcome. Y'all give it up. Come on, let's
Look at her, look at her. Beautiful lady.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much for being here. There's your seat right there. There's a little microphone right there by your feet. You go and pick that up.
Now we're going to have to talk about you getting here today because it is a blessing that you are here and that you made it, and we really, really appreciate all that you went through today in order to be with us.
Yes.
Because unfortunately with the travel, a flight got delayed and we was working to make sure that you got here on time, and we really appreciate you going through all of that today to be with us.
Oh, thank you so very much. No, really, it was horrible.
Oh,
Yes.
It really was terrible.
Yes.
I know.
Yes.
Started out at 4 o'clock this morning, getting up, getting ready. I was on time, in the seat, on the airplane.
Yes.
And something went wrong with the airplane. And I wanted to get off of that.
Yeah,
Yes.
because we don't get on an airplane that's not working.
Right on.
Then we had to figure out a flight to connect, which they did.
Yes.
And then when I got to Chicago, the other flight to come here was delayed like 2.5 hours.
2.5 hours.
So I'm sorry, y'all. I was supposed to be at 6.
Yes.
Yes. But
you're
God
here.
is good. And you are here right on time, right in time to come up on stage. So we're excited to have you here.
Thank
Yes.
Let me tell you something. I think it is amazing that you embrace the fact that you are Thelma from Good Times. So many iconic actors who are part of iconic shows want nothing to do with the role that they are best known for. They feel it pigeonholes them, and a lot of times don't understand what an emotional connection we all have to it. And I want to say thank you so much for being the opposite of that. But what inspired you to go ahead and just say, hey, you know what? I embrace it.
Well, because Thelma was very much like myself. And I feel that it was a gift from God to be able to do that part, because I didn't go out to do a part like that. I just was going to school. I was going to be a dancer. I was going to be a psychologist, whole nine. But, it came to me like that. So I figured, well, if I have to be that teenager, I know I grew up in the projects. I was very much
Oh, you
like
actually
that.
did grow up in the project?
Yes, Brownsville.
Brownsville
Van Dyke
Projects.
Projects, 10th floor, 10B.
See, we did the right thing with this connection. See, we didn't even know.
The New York came out of you real quick. Really, really quick.
So I knew the character. In fact, they asked me who was Thelma. They didn't know how to write for her. So I had to, help them out. Yeah.
That was one of my questions, actually, because I know that you guys were credited with giving a lot of cultural references and different things like that. And when you just said that you had to tell them exactly what it was, because a lot of these writers were white people. Am I correct?
Most of them, all of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Were white
well,
people.
except for Eric Monty
Who's the
and
creators
Bob
of the
Pete.
show.
There were 2 people.
Wow. So did you guys ever really get the credit that you felt that you deserved for giving them so much insight onto who the character really was?
I do. I felt like I got the credit because it gave me a chance to show what a real teenager would do. Who that girl really was, and she was a girl striving to do her best in life, no matter what. Like my real father would always say, "What's around you does not have to be in you." So that's what it was for Thelma. She was around a lot of stuff, but she was striving to become someone. And a lot of young girls, even today, they'll come up to me and they'll say, well, the moms will say, I'm glad that the character did this because it shows that, my daughter can strive for things. And, it was a positive, very positive image. And I thank God that I was able to do that.
Yes. Now, as AJ mentioned that you were the first young black female on a television sitcom. This is true?
First black female teenager ever
yes.
on television.
Wow.
Thank you.
Yeah, give it up. Give it up. Now, because of that, you definitely received a lot of attention. I mean, you are like a lot of male people's crush. Did any of the other cast members feel or did you feel any kind of maybe jealousy from them for all of the attention that you were receiving?
Absolutely not.
Really?
No, I didn't feel any of that.
Okay.
And if it was there, I didn't even know about it.
Right.
You know, I was not. I was so young-minded too in when I was doing Good Times that I didn't see those things. You know, everything was really wonderful to me.
Right.
You know, because it was.
Awesome.
Coming from Brownsville and ending up on television, that journey can be a short story, but give us a little bit of how you came to want to be an actor. You also went to Juilliard. Tell me how that happened.
How did Juilliard happen?
Yeah, how did you get from Brownsville to Juilliard?
All right
I know
now.
that's not a short story, but give it to us in 4 parts.
Well, I had a teacher, a dance teacher. I used to go to Erasmus Hall. So she was a very, very wonderful teacher. She loved me. She thought I was a great dancer, which I was just a good dancer. And so she decided that I should go to Juilliard. She started that. So I went for the audition, but the audition for Juilliard dance department was all ballet. And I'm a modern jazz dancer. So I was definitely out of place. So I did not get in. Then my mom came to me like a couple of months later, and she said, "You're going to go back and you're going to audition for the drama division." And I'm like, "I am?" She said, "Yeah, you are." And so I said, "Okay," following my mom. So she hired a coach to come in and help me with the classical piece and the modern piece for the monologues. And so after that, I went and I had my audition at Juilliard, and I just did my thing, not thinking I was going to ever get in because, you know, I didn't get in the ballet part, you know, dance part. So I'm like, okay, well, that's my heart. Yeah. So when I did the drama, I really did it for my mother. And I did it in, like, I think June. And in August, I found out that I was accepted. Wow. Yeah. So
Did you finish?
I did. I
You
went
did
back to finish it.
And so, what were some of your first jobs like coming out of Juilliard? I mean, now you have now classical education.
Good Times, baby.
That
Good
was the
Times was
first
my
job?
very
That was the
first job. Ugh.
God.
Let me tell you,
Wow.
I wasn't supposed to audition or anything. I was in a beauty pageant. And this was while I was at Juilliard. But I was in a beauty pageant, and it was at the beauty pageant that...
Was it the Miss Black Awareness Contest?
We didn't have all that awareness back then.
He's
All we had was that little old beauty
Don't worry about
thing.
him.
Okay.
That was a little
whatever.
jokey joke.
Thank you. But no, so the guy came over to my mom and said they're doing a series, a television series, and I look like I can fit in the part. So that's how that came about. So what I had to do was just kind of fib to Juilliard, you know, and just tell them that I was sick and I was going to go audition. Because I wasn't supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do it. So until you finished, because they're making you over or whatever they're doing.
Right.
So I snuck and did it. Because in my first audition, who thought I would get that?
Yeah.
Not me. So I went in there with, you know, JJ was already picked for the part, and Norman Lear was sitting there, and, you know, I went in there and did my thing. I read the part. They had, like, a script, and the script was so pedantic. It was, like, really weird. I'm like, you know, there's no girl from the projects that's going to talk like this. So can I improvise? And Norman looked at me and says, "Oh, God. Go ahead, improvise, whatever. You know, just do something. We have a lot of kids, you know, to look at." So I auditioned, and I had I had Norman laughing at the end of the thing. Jimmy and I improvised. It was really, really funny. It was good. So I think that did it.
Yeah.
Awesome.
There was such a classic chemistry between you guys anyway.
Yeah.
You really felt like you were really brother and sister.
Yeah.
But coming out of Juilliard, I can imagine that TV must have been kind of like, was TV taboo?
No.
Or was that okay?
That was beautiful, great.
Oh, I love it.
And then once I got accepted, once I got the part, then I went back to them and I said I did something I wasn't supposed to do. I auditioned and I got it. It's a series, you know, and it's starting in January. So, you know, what should I do? I was going to do it anyway. But then they said, no, go ahead and do it. This is what we want for our students, you know, so go ahead and do it. In the event that it doesn't work out, then you can come back. They loved me there, too.
And you guys are like the first black family, actually, also in sitcom television that comes on. Did you have a sense that this show is going to be really popular because there was nothing like that before it?
No, we thought, you know, it was a replacement show. You know, it was another show that went
Because
off.
Norman Lear was already like a popular producer.
He was one of the biggest out there at that time. So we just thought it was just another show. I mean, I did. You know, it was just a show. Nobody. I did not have any awareness of the fact that the show meant as much as it did to anyone, or that it made such a statement. But I give Esther Roll all that credit.
Yes.
I give her all that credit because she knew what the deal was. She knew what she wanted. She knew what she did not want. They wanted to make her a single mother, you know, with 3 kids struggling in the projects. She says, never. It's not going to happen. I want a husband. My kid's supposed to have a father, because there are black men that stay with their wives, and there are black men that stay with
Thank
their
God.
kids.
Thank you, Esther Roll. God rest your soul.
Yeah.
And so being on set with actors that had that kind of pedigree, tell us about some of the lessons you learned from working with Esther Roll.
Well, I was the rookie. Everybody had done major stuff before me. So, I mean, even Ralph Carter, Michael, he was on Broadway. He was one of the big stars on Broadway. Raisin in the Sun.
Raisin in the Sun.
And Norman had to buy him out. So he in fact, if you look at the early credits, he gets top credit. Out
He
of
used
the
to say
children.
Raisin in the Sun at the end
He
or
gets
something.
the top, thanks to Raisin.
I do
On
remember
Broadway.
that.
So he gets the top billing. Jimmy got the second, I got the bottom, you know. how it
That's
goes.
all right. You was brand new. That's fine.
It was.
And so look at you sitting here today. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Now, this show was only on for 5 years, from 1974 through 1979. Here we are 40 years later, and this show probably comes on more than it came on when it was on.
41 years.
41 years. How does that feel? Like to see so
Amazing.
many generations
Amazing.
who love this material. It's
Amazing.
so timeless.
It's timeless because because they dealt with real emotions,
Real
real
issues.
issues. My father, my real father, again, he says that Good Times was the first reality TV because it was for us.
It was definitely reality.
Considering the fact that you were really young at the time, and there was some controversy around the show beginning to really focus around JJ and around the comic relief, and kind of slide away from what the original vision of the show was, or maybe not the original vision, but what was originally thought around what the actors put into it and the reality of what life was like for black families. At the time, I imagine, now having talked to you, that you may not have had any thoughts about it then, but looking back on it, you know, how do you feel about that moment, and what was that like for you being on set?
Looking back at it, I understand what Esther wanted. I understand what John Amos wanted. They did not want him to spin out into a buffoon. They wanted him to mean something, for him to have some kind of character, you know, that wasn't just acting up. So they used to have him finding things all the time, meaning that, you know, he was out there stealing.
Right.
And she cut that completely out. She cut that completely out. She said, that's ridiculous. No, he's a talented, you know, son. I have a talented son, and he's going to make his money doing his art, you know, and I want to show that he can do that. And, you know, like, you know what, I always looked at Jimmy like, there are guys, you know, from the projects at the ghetto, they all act, some of them act like that. They don't act that wild maybe, but you know, there are some comedians out there, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of times, you know, the kids did that because, you know, it's a way of escape. You know, making your parents laugh, making your family laugh, making your classroom, you know, mates laugh. So, you know, I understood that.
But as a kid, maybe you didn't really see what the big issue was,
No.
because you knew kids like JJ.
Yeah.
And so it felt familiar
For me.
in a way.
Yeah.
After John Amos leaves the show, was there a change in the energy? Did people feel down? Was the camaraderie different?
It was a change. It was a big change. It's just like in a family. You know, if someone died, you know, your father dies suddenly, you know, there's going to be a change. At least there was for me and Ralph, Michael, and one for Esther, too. Now, I don't know how JJ felt about it, and I don't know how Bologna felt about it. I know they were sad, but, I mean, it affected us because now with myself and Michael, we did not know that John was leaving the show. We had no idea. When we went to rehearsal, we had to read on Fridays. We read for the next script for the next week, and John wasn't there. And so we were reading the script, and they didn't even tell they didn't tell me, and they didn't tell Ralph. So when we reading the script, I'm like waiting for the, mistaken identity part to come up. Like that is really not, he's really not dead, right? I'm waiting for that. So at the end of the script, the last, sentence of the script, he's gone. I'm waiting for part 2. I'm like, wait a minute, what? I'm looking at Esther. I call her mom. I'm looking at her. She didn't say anything. She's just sitting there. And so then that's when the producers said, well, John is not coming back. He's no longer with us, and it's over. And it really felt like a death. And the whole week I was really sad.
Wow.
Yeah.
I want to go back to our first guest was out here, Mr. Chill Moody, and he dropped some trivia on us all. What was Penny's real name, Thelma?
I don't remember.
Oh.
We didn't know either.
He said it was Millicent. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it was.
It was Millicent.
It was.
And that was how it was sent, Penny. All right,
Chill
so
one,
chill, you
audience
win.
0.
Oh, shit.
It was.
That is crazy.
Speaking of Penny, when's the last time that you seen Miss Janet Jackson?
A couple of years ago I saw her.
Mm-hmm. Was this still,
Yes,
have,
It actually was at the Essence Fest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was doing, I think she was doing something there. And I went backstage and saw her, and she said, "Oh, Burn," just same way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I have a funny little story that I tell about her in my book, The Last Night.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the time when she, what was his name from, what you talking about?
Arnold. Oh, Gary Coleman.
Right, Gary. When Gary came on the show, he came on our set first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he fell madly in love with Janet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she was 11. He was, 8, 9? Mm-hmm. And so he was chasing her like the whole week, like all around her the whole week. So she's like, she's sweet, nice, and stop chasing me, And so the day of the show, Thursday, the day of the show, I'm changing for my next scene, and I hear this little girl come running, and she grabbed me. She said, "Tell him to stop. Tell him to stop." I guess he scared her. You know what I'm saying? And he was chasing her. So I went over to him. I said, "You better stop it. You hear me?"
Like the big sister.
And he looked at me like, "Oh, this crazy lady, Yeah, awesome. So that's a cute little, it was really funny.
Part of me can see Esther Roll. Somehow in my memory, and the thing that I make up in my mind is Esther Roll goes outside and picks a switch and takes it to Gary Coleman. Because in my mind, she seems like such a traditional mom in my head. I'm thinking to myself, like, Florida comes in there and whoops
At least
ass.
she threatened him.
What are some of your favorite episodes, if you have any specific, from the show?
Well, one of my favorite ones, one is when when Penny was trying to smoke, and she put that cigarette underneath that pillow.
Under the pillow, and it burned up the whole daggone
And we
couch.
all had to tell our little version of what happened.
Right.
And I like the fact that I was a witch.
Ooh.
JJ's witch. I like that character.
Awesome.
How did you handle the original ending of the show? Sometimes, actors are doing a series for so long and it seems like it's wonderful and then it comes to an end, and sometimes abruptly. So how did you deal with handling the loss of the show?
Well, we knew it was 5 years. We knew the show was going to be for 5 years, so it was coming. We knew that. Just the actual week of the last show was very sad. But you always think that, well, maybe it'll come back. Well, maybe they'll do a spin off or something. So, you don't go absolutely like, no, you don't do that. You do that hopeful thing, and you can get through it. Yeah. But actually, it was not going to come back.
So you mentioned spin. Like, if Good Times were to come back today, where do you think Thelma would be at this time?
Well, she'd probably be a doctor, and she would have 3 kids. I thought about this. She would have...
Pitch it.
She would have 3 kids. Yeah. One would look like JJ.
Oh, yeah.
Brother kind of thing. And, of course, the husband, Keith, he's gone.
He passed away.
Yes, so he would have deceased.
Right.
And I think I would have a son that's playing football. Yeah.
I can see that.
So you'd be a single mom living in the
Hey,
suburbs.
Netflix.
I don't know about that.
How
No.
y'all doing? We need a spinoff of Thelma. More good times.
More good times. I like
more,
that.
more good times. You're also an author, and you mentioned your book.
One of your books.
Well, one of your books. A portion of your book that you mentioned is about being a caregiver to your mother. What kind of advice can you give people surrounding being caregivers to their elderly parents?
Well, at some point, we will probably all be a caregiver of some sort. I just hope that it's just because they're getting older and not because they have Alzheimer's. Because Alzheimer's is the most wicked disease known to man. I mean, I know cancer is very, very bad, but at least there's hope you can put it in remission. It can go back somewhere.
Yeah.
But Alzheimer's is actually no hope. No hope. Once they're diagnosed with that, you got a good 8-10 years, and it's going to be done. You got to face that. That's a hard one.
Wow.
That's a hard one. I
Oh.
don't know. I don't know if there is a cure, and I don't know if any doctors have found the cure, but the public doesn't know about it.
In terms of dealing with Alzheimer's, I know some of the hardest parts. I mean, I lost my grandmother to Alzheimer's. Some of the difficult parts for the family is dealing with the memory loss and things of that nature. Were there some things that you did during that time to help yourself cope? Are there some things that, was there a support group, anything that really helped you get through that time?
Well, I talk about that. I talk about supporting the caregiver. At that time, I'm the eldest of 5. So I had my 2 sisters and my 2 brothers. They lived on the East Coast, and I brought mommy on the West to live with me. So I was her main, caregiver. The only thing that I say about caregiving is that you can lose yourself in caring to keep them alive. And in fact, that's what I did. I mean, I don't remember even thinking about me. I was so busy trying to keep my mother alive because I couldn't believe that this disease was going to kill her. I just couldn't believe it. And I'm a very religious person, and so is my mother. And I'm like, God, I don't get it. I just don't get this one. You got to show me how to handle this one. And at the, during the 8 years, he was showing me. I was getting stronger, and he gave me more grace. So when the night came, I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready. You never will be ready. But just before I walked into her room, the room where, she was in the hospital. She was at her last days. And before I walked into the hospital, room, it was like God just told me something. And what he told me was, this is going to happen. And don't make it bad for her. I'll never forget that. So when I walked in, it gave me the strength to be able to say, Mommy, I'm going to stay here with you no matter how long it takes, and everything's okay.
Yeah.
Everything's going to be okay.
Y'all give it up for that. Give it up. Give it up.
It goes deeper than that. When you get the book,
y'all
you'll
gotta
read
get
it.
the
Gotta
book.
get the book.
Y'all gotta get the book.
I'm not going to tell you now.
But finding an identity as an author, you've written about quite a few things, including relationships. What inspired the book about relationships?
I don't know, but I love relationships. I'm just that kind of girl. I remember one time asking my mom, I said, Mom, tell me some stuff about the men. Tell me some stuff about relationships. Tell me what to do, And my mother said, because she was just, the kind of girl that got married. 20 years old back in the day. My dad was the only boyfriend, man, anything.
Ever.
She got married, had the kids, so she wasn't out there. She didn't know. So I said, oh, Mom, come on, you got to tell me how this works. She says, Bern, all I can say is that read everything you can. And I went to reading, but I learned a lot. And I became like the girlfriend that people would talk to, and I would give them very good advice, like a big sister should.
Yes.
And I started doing that, and I helped a lot of people. So when I started doing a lot of the plays, the gospel plays, I met a lot of friends, and they would call me and ask me these questions and ask me certain things, and I would, give them advice. So I had one girlfriend, and, come on, 3 years later with the same guy and the same problem and calling me at 3 o'clock in the morning, this time didn't work. It just didn't. So I told her, look, let me tell you something. This is what we're going to do. First I said to her, I said, why'd you call me at 3 in the morning? Well, I kept calling him and he's not answering. He's not home. I said, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. He might be asleep.
Yeah.
Possibility.
That is a possibility.
Okay. She didn't think about that at all. So then I said, okay, well, just, leave it alone. She said, well, I left a couple of messages. I said, you left a couple of messages? Okay.
10 messages.
No, 20,
Woo!
15 and 20. I said, you know what? I would not answer your call either. Come on. So I knew she had a problem. I said, well, we're going to have to fix this, but I tell you what we're going to do. I'm going to write out some things, and you can put it on your refrigerator. So in the middle of the night, if you can't get through it, just go to the refrigerator, read it. They give you strength, everything like that. And if that doesn't work, do like I do. Open the refrigerator and eat something.
I love it.
That'll fix it all the time.
No, I mean, there is a fine line between stalking and, and calling somebody on the phone for sure. But I tell you this much. I've learned a lot. I've been married for 20 years. You're married. What have you learned from being a married woman? After writing your book and now you've been married for quite some time, but being married, what is some of the things you know about being married? What advice can you give people? We never like to give it, but we here to hear it from you.
Oh, really? Oh,
No.
boy. Well, the
Only in song, I guess.
only thing about being married, you have to be yourself. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you're married, so you have to act like you married. Have to walk married. I'm just me.
Walk married, huh?
Act married. I mean, I'm just me. I'd be me anyway. And once you have a person that allows you to be you and you allow them to be them, outside of dating other people, you can't allow that. But I think that you'll make it. I think that you will make it because nothing is really changing. You're adding to each other's lives, not taking away. Absolutely. And when a person starts taking away from who you are in your soul, that person got to go. You can't breathe. Yeah. Oh, and when people get too close, I can't breathe. Move. Yeah. No, it's not bad. It's not like
Now, when Good Times ends, I don't really remember a lot more of the notable roles and things that you had. Did you just take time off, or why is it that we never really saw you on a lot of other things?
Well, at first I took a little break, and then I started doing a lot of Broadway. But like you said earlier about my character, I think my character was so strong
It pigeonholed you.
that when I did audition, Thelma was auditioning.
Right.
And I think that would disturb any character that I would play. So now that I am more mature, I think I can get away with it a little better.
Oh, definitely.
Well, if I can, I do stage anyway.
Right.
And all my characters, I have a lot of characters that I've done.
Right.
So I'm good with that.
Awesome.
And then you are a writer. Are you working on any television content or anything that we might be able to look forward to producing, directing,
More
anything
Good
like
Times.
that?
Well, I don't know about that, but I am putting together a one-woman show. My daughter and my friend Ernest Thomas, y'all know
Yes, from
him.
Raj.
Yes,
Raj,
Ernest
from What's
Thomas.
Happening. You and him been on tour a lot together,
Yes,
too.
he won't stop bothering me about putting together this one-woman show. He says, you can sing, you can dance, I want to see it. I'm like, yeah, okay. But he and I are going to do a show called Willie and Esther in February. We're going to start that, yeah.
I love that.
You just mentioned singing. Now, Janet Dubois went on to sing the Jefferson's theme song. Did you ever try to get into any of that kind of thing, voiceovers or
No.
background?
No.
But
she wrote that.
I know.
She wrote that and she sung it.
Yeah.
And it was an incredible song. And you guys had an incredible song, too. Theme songs were the thing for the Norman Lear shows. It seems like, Maud and Good Times and
Yeah, I thought he
the
was pretty
Jeffersons.
brilliant, daring, on the cutting edge.
Right.
I don't even really think that we've had someone to come along and do a series of shows like that and really be able to reach people at that level in television in quite some time. But we see
All
a
in the Family,
resurgence of some really great content nowadays with there's so much to watch. It's almost difficult to keep up with. Tell us what you love to watch and what you're just in love with that's on television, streaming, yada, yada, yada.
Well, I don't watch television. I don't. I really don't watch.
So how do you know how often Good Times comes on?
No, people tell me.
Okay.
They do. They tell me all the time. They say, oh, Saturday mornings, they just watch it. It's like the marathon and everything. But when I do watch it, I like some of the stuff that Oprah has, like that thing on Sundays.
Masterclass.
Yeah, I like that. I also like ID.
That my mother loves that channel.
I like those.
So
I like all those.
So you like a lot of reality stuff that's based on things you can learn.
No, not too many reality shows.
Well, not reality TV, but things that are based in learning and real and that kind of thing that you can learn from. Yeah, my husband is more of a biography type person. I love fiction and things of that nature. So I want to know this really quickly about you. Can you actually cook?
Because on the show, you got a hard time.
Because on the show, they gave you a very, very difficult time about your cooking.
That child could not cook. But I can cook. I can cook. I don't cook very often. I really don't. I used to. When my kids were really young, I used to cook. But now that they're grown, well, even before they were grown, I stopped cooking. I'm sorry. They cook, though. They cook well. They used to cook for me.
I understand. I have 6 kids. I don't wake up when I'm like, look here, that's what we got a toaster for. Yeah. That's what they got instant oatmeal. It's so many things that a child can do for themselves, and I don't feel no type of way about it. So I fully understand that grind. Are any of your kids interested in being actors or actresses at all?
We mentioned your beautiful daughters. Yes.
Well, the oldest one, she's now getting interested in being around. It's a socialite type of thing. That's what she wants to do.
She is the daughter of Thelma from Good Times.
She's not trying to be an actress or anything, but she has a beautiful voice.
I love it.
So she said promised me she's going to start singing.
I love it.
Nice.
I love it.
She does have a beautiful voice. The other one, the baby girl, is in medical school at Meharry, in Nashville.
Wow. So really, in a lot of ways, your daughters have become the future of Thelma. One is a doctor and one is going to possibly become a singer and an entertainer. So I find that to be quite beautiful. Anything current that you're working on that's what's up next for you?
Well, I'm thinking about another book. Yeah. And of course, I'm busy studying all these lines for this play I'm doing next year.
Okay.
And
this is the play with Ernest Thomas? Yes, indeed. Yeah. What's the name of it again? Give it to us.
Willie and Esther.
Willie and Esther. What is this about?
Oh, well, it's 2-character, 2-act play. I did it about 20 years ago on off-Broadway. Yeah. Yeah, I played Esther with an actor called Jerris Poindexter. His name is Poindexter. And we were very successful. We ran for 8 months there. It could have gone longer, but they needed the theater for another season. So,
and where people might be able to catch it?
Not yet. Not yet. We don't have our venues straight yet.
Okay.
But we will be, starting in February.
So we should
February,
check out
March.
Your website.
Yes, and I'll let you know on Instagram and everything.
Oh, fantastic! Where can people follow you on Instagram? Let people know where they can follow Thelma from Good Times.
Thelma of Good Times on Instagram. Bernadette Stanis. We have so many Facebook pages. I don't have them. Other people have them.
Yes.
And they are answering people like they're me. I'm like, wait a minute. That's not nice.
So you have to make yours the official. See,
that's
the thing.
That's I said official. It's on there. It says official, but and
you gotta get the little blue check and let them know that's really you.
All right, Damon.
Yes,
you gotta get the blue check.
Come on,
Damon, where you at? Get the blue check.
He's supposed to be getting the blue check for me.
Right.
But anyway, I have the red outfit on. So every time I change I tell people, no, the red one. The blue one. Or
out
whatever.
of the sea of information on you. Well, like I said before, I mean, it is a huge influence that you've had as far as being an iconic Black woman figure on television. We all hold on to that as if you were our own sister. And every time we see you, we just have such a sense of pride. And nowadays, everyone talks about Black girl magic. And you really were one of the original,
you embodied Black girl magic.
Original holders of the fairy dust of Black girl magic.
You. Oh,
and we thank you so much
you.
for showing us the way and really giving us that image. So y'all give it up for Bernadette Stanis.
Bernadette Stanis from Good Times.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
If they have a question or two, I'll answer.
Does anybody in the audience possibly have a question maybe that we didn't cover? Anybody? No?
Come on now, don't be shy.
No? She just wanted to know.
Honey,
I got one more question.
They probably just want some
I
sugar.
have one more question.
This whole row down here just want a hug and a kiss, probably.
Right. Listen, now Janet Jackson was on this show. Did the Jacksons ever visit the Good Times set or Michael?
Absolutely.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
So y'all was all good friends.
And who was your crush?
Michael.
Did Michael like you?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember we were at Richard Pryor's house once, and I have a picture with he and I, and someone else was sitting on the side, but I was holding his face like this, and we were taking pictures together. I remember that. I love it. Yeah.
Any other notable entertainers ever, graced the set at that time?
Stevie Wonder.
Mm-hmm.
A few others, I guess.
I guess.
Prince never came.
Well, yeah, Prince was.
It's funny. We've been doing this show, and people always have a really good Prince story.
I do.
We've had. Do you have one? Come
Well,
on,
give it
get
to
it
us.
popping.
Okay. It was the Grammy Awards. One year, this was in the 80s, and they had like a big old hotel where everybody was going to gather, whatever it was. So I went there. I was there, and Prince was sitting in the corner with his bodyguards, and he spoke Italian to them, right? Mm-hmm. So I went to I was in the bathroom with this girl, and she says to me, "Oh, Prince is in the corner over there, and I bet you won't ask him to dance." I said, "I bet you I will." So of course, when I came out the bathroom, I walked straight on over to him, and then he said some Italian to his bodyguards, and they covered him, and he said, "No, no, no." And I said, "Prince, you want to dance with me?" He just got up and danced, and we danced like 2 whole dances, just he and I on the floor.
I don't know who could turn down. I mean, you're Bernadette, but who could turn down a dance with Thelma? Let's just keep it straight.
Because
you
you
was
be
getting it
rocking.
in. You was getting it in. We watched so many clips of you really getting your dance on, and I just want you to know that if you ever want to do a dance off, I'm with it.
Oh,
I have studied your moves.
Band, where y'all
I
at?
have watched it. And I just want you to know that I can get it in. Is the band here?
Band, where y'all at?
They know
Band,
the
where y'all
song?
at? Come on up here. Quick.
I challenge
We're
you,
going to close it
Bernadette,
out with a little Good Times
to
theme
a
song.
Thelma dance off.
Uh-oh.
Challenge.
Oh, shit. This could share this link right now if you're watching, because this could get a little wild.
I'm just saying.
All right. Well, as the band comes up here, we want to, again, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate, again, all that you went through with the travel day, and we wish you a lot of love and continued success in all that you do this year and next year. Happy holidays to you, and, of course, Happy New Year in 2018.
Oh, I thought you were going to say happy birthday.
Oh, happy birthday. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
December 22nd is my birthday.
December the 22nd is our twin
twins' birthday.
daughter's birthday as well.
Really?
Yes, indeed.
They're
So, yes.
Capricorns too?
Yes.
I gave birth on
Yes.
that day.
Oh, my
Yes.
God.
Yes, indeed.
So happy
All right. Are you
upcoming
ready to get
birthday.
this? You ready to get this business I'm
Yeah.
about to give you? Are y'all ready?
Oh, shit. Ladies and gentlemen, Bernadette Stanis and Asia in a dance-off of her moves
Hey.
of Good Times.
Why you had to introduce me like that?
I mean, because I don't know what you're about to
He
do.
didn't give me no
I'm
lie.
scared. I know what you're going to do when you're going to sing. And I know you can dance good.
I can
But I
dance.
don't know. You got
Y'all
Thelma
ready?
here. You got the.
Are y'all ready?
Go against her. All
Y'all
right.
be fair now, okay?
All right.
All right, let's get it.
All right, here we go. We doing Good Times theme song. Okay, here we go. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? Now getting hustle, now getting hassle, keeping your head above water, making a way when you can, temporary layoff, easy credit to rip off, scratching and surviving. Wait a minute. What do they say right there? Hanging in and jiving. I always thought it was hanging on the trolley. Hanging in and jiving? Hanging in the chow line.
It's hanging in and jiving.
What did y'all used
And
to
she
say?
did not dance.
We about to get her to dance. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going.
I'm tired.
Come on. Well, give. Now you're out from under, not getting hustled, not getting hassled, keeping your head above water, making a way when you can, temporary layoff, easy credit to rip off, scratching and surviving, hanging in the diving. Ain't we lucky we got 'em? Good times, ladies and gentlemen.